There is a moment each morning that most of us miss, the moment before the world intrudes, before the phone rings, before the mind is swept away by news, work, and the expectations of others. It is the moment when you can decide who you will be today, how you will live. If you miss it, someone else will decide for you, but if you seize it, the entire day and perhaps your entire life will change. Stoicism reminds us that the only thing we truly command is our own mind and our own choices. Each morning is a new doorway where you hold the power to shape your attitude, thoughts, and actions before circumstances shape you. When you begin the day with a clear awareness of the person you intend to be, you place your own hand on the helm instead of drifting with the current. This is not some distant theory, but an inner power, always within reach. And today we will go deeper into how to take hold of that power. 1. I am not bound by the past. The past is something we cannot change, yet it often becomes an invisible prison holding us captive. Mistakes, failures, or moments of regret can replay hundreds of times in the mind, making us believe we are defined by what has already happened. Stoicism reminds us that what belongs to yesterday is beyond our control, and allowing it to dictate the present is to willingly surrender our freedom. Each day is a new beginning, a blank page on which to rewrite the story, yet many unconsciously reread the old chapters as if they were the whole book of their life. When you let the past decide how you think, feel, and act, you hand over your agency to something that no longer exists. The truth is, you are not the person you were last week, last month, or last year. You are changing every day, learning from experience, and evolving with each choice. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that a person always has the power to renew themselves, so long as they focus on the present and act with reason, rather than being pulled backward by memory. Every wound and failure can become a lesson instead of a chain. They do not define you. They are simply the backdrop against which you prove your strength in the present. The only thing that shapes the future is what you decide to do now. When you wake in the morning, ask yourself, who will I be today? And let that answer guide your actions instead of letting old memories impose limits. Letting go of the past does not mean forgetting, it means accepting and choosing to move forward. It is the declaration that you are the author of today's page, and no one, not even the version of you from yesterday, has the right to write it for you. 2. Stop chasing, start attracting. When we constantly chase something, be it success, recognition, or love, we often act from a place of lack. That pursuit sends the message that we are not enough, that we need something external to fill an inner void. This not only drains our energy, but also subtly places our self-worth in the hands of others or in factors we cannot control. Stoicism reminds us that sufficiency does not come from holding more, but from cultivating within a state of fullness, independence, and self-command. When you stop chasing, you stop giving away the power to decide your emotions to things beyond your reach. You shift your focus from pursuing outcomes to becoming the kind of person through character, mindset, and way of life who naturally draws the right things toward you. This is the movement from the energy of scarcity to the energy of abundance. In Stoic philosophy, this mirrors the cultivation of virtue, integrity, courage, temperance, and wisdom. Because these qualities act like magnets, drawing opportunities and relationships that align with the order of the universe. Stopping the chase does not mean abandoning effort or giving up goals. On the contrary, it demands greater focus on what you can control, your actions, habits, and presence each day. When you work with calm, without the fear of missing out or the pressure to prove something, you send out a different message, the message of confidence and steadiness. This is the kind of energy people in fitting opportunities naturally sense and are drawn to. In the end, attraction is not magic or luck. It is the natural result of living true to yourself and your values. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, you no longer have to chase what is right because it will find you at the right time. Inner peace is the foundation that makes everything else clearer and more ordered. 3. Be the author, not the audience, of your life. Each person's life is like a book being written day by day. Every thought, every choice, every action is a sentence, a paragraph, a new chapter. Yet many live as if they are merely spectators, reading a story someone else has already written for them. They let circumstances, other people, or societal expectations hold the pen and decide the direction of the book. Stoic philosophy reminds us that if we do not actively take up the role of author, someone else inevitably will, and it will rarely reflect who we truly are. To be the author of your life is to be aware that each day is an opportunity to choose and shape the story. Stoicism teaches that external factors may set the stage, but the content is still ours to decide. You cannot control the weather, but you can choose whether to walk in the rain or seek shelter. You cannot control every event, but you always have the power to decide your response and turn it into part of the story's meaning. This is the power Epictetus stressed. We cannot control events, but we can fully command our interpretation and our actions. When you live as an audience, you are easily pulled along by someone else's script, only to realize at the end of life that much of your time was spent on chapters that were never yours. By contrast, when you live as the author, you consciously ask, "Does this align with the path I choose?" before acting. This takes awareness and courage, because writing your own story often means going against the crowd, refusing roles that do not fit, and accepting full responsibility for the outcome. Being the author is not about perfect sentences. It is about ensuring they reflect your will, values, and vision. Every choice, no matter how small, is a stroke of the pen shaping your story's direction. When you understand this, you stop waiting for a pre-written chapter and start creating the content yourself. And that is when life truly becomes your work of art. 4. Protect what is precious: time, energy, peace. There are assets that, once lost, can never be regained, and the three most precious are time, energy, and peace. Money can be earned again. Possessions can be replaced, but every hour and minute that passes is gone forever. Stoicism reminds us that time is the measure of life itself, and how you use it reflects the value you place on yourself. When you let your time be consumed by what does not matter, you are willingly trading your most valuable resource for things with no lasting meaning. Energy is the fuel behind every action and thought. It is not infinite, and if scattered in too many directions, you will quickly burn out. Stoicism advises that we invest our energy in what we can control and in what truly matters, rather than wasting it on worry or arguments over what lies beyond our reach. Protecting energy means knowing how to choose, how to say no, and how to prioritize what is worth the investment of your mind. Peace is an inner state that cannot be bought at any price. It is the foundation for clear reason and the preservation of our values. If peace is invaded by the noise of negativity, the pressures of the outside world, or the chaos within, you lose the ability to make sound decisions. Stoicism reminds us that setting boundaries is not selfish. It is protecting the inner ground where clear thought and wise action are born. When you guard your time, energy, and peace, you are building the foundation for a meaningful life. These three resources fuel your pursuit of purpose, sustain your virtue, and allow you to live in alignment with your values. And only when they are preserved can you be fully present and live as your true self. 5. Discipline and consistency. The enduring flame. Discipline is the foundation of all lasting achievement, and consistency is the force that sustains it over time. Motivation may arrive in powerful bursts, but it is like the wind, shifting easily and vanishing quickly. Discipline is different. It is the steady commitment to the right action, even when feelings do not cooperate, even when no one is watching. Stoicism sees discipline as an expression of true freedom, for the disciplined person is not ruled by emotion or circumstance, but knows what must be done and acts with reason. Consistency is the ability to repeat those right actions day after day, turning them into habits and a natural part of who you are. In Stoic thought, consistency is living in harmony with your chosen principles, not just in favorable moments, but in challenging seasons as well. Each time you keep the promise you made to yourself, you are reinforcing your will and determination, adding fuel to a flame that never goes out. Discipline and consistency are not constraints. They are a profound form of self-care. They protect what matters most, bring you closer to your goals, and keep you from being swept away by life's chaos. Together, they form an enduring strength that carries you through low motivation, unexpected trials, and the fatigue of long journeys. Stoicism teaches that right action does not require instant perfection. It requires steady persistence, one small step at a time. Each day you uphold discipline and maintain consistency, you carve your principles deeper into your being. That enduring flame becomes your guiding light, even in darkness and uncertainty. This is the path to turning goals into reality and philosophy into a way of life. 6. Full yet still growing. Living in fullness does not mean stopping, and growth does not mean always feeling a lack. In Stoic philosophy, fullness comes from recognizing that everything necessary for a good life is already within reach. Wisdom, virtue, the ability to choose your response, and the opportunity to live fully in the present. It is the state of valuing what you have without being haunted by comparison or endless desire. Yet Stoicism also reminds us that we are not born merely to exist, but to train ourselves, expand our understanding, and move close. 7. You are the one who assigns meaning to everything. Every event, word, or action you experience begins in a neutral state. They are simply sounds, images, or movements in the world. They carry no inherent positive or negative charge and hold no power over your mood. What makes you happy, sad, angry, or disappointed is the meaning you attach to them. This means the power to decide your emotions always lies with you, not with anything outside. When someone says something unpleasant, the words themselves cannot harm you. They only become an emotional wound if you accept them as truth or attach a negative meaning to them. Conversely, if you see them as nothing more than a string of sounds unworthy of attention, their impact dissolves instantly. The difference does not come from the world changing, it comes from how you choose to interpret it. Stoicism teaches that our emotions arise from our perceptions, not from events themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if you are troubled by something outside yourself, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your judgment of it, and you always have the power to change that judgment. This is not merely a reminder, but an empowerment, affirming that you are never forced to live as a hostage to circumstances. Realizing that you assign meaning to everything also opens the door to reframing experiences. Instead of reacting negatively out of habit, you can choose a new perspective that turns a discomfort into a learning opportunity. Instead of letting criticism pull you down, you can take it as a cue to improve or as proof of another's limited view. By consciously choosing your perspective, you protect yourself from needless emotional turmoil. This practice requires mindfulness and consistent training. Whenever emotions surge, pause and ask yourself, what meaning have I just given this? Is it truly accurate or just my habitual reaction? In creating that moment of self-inquiry, you make space to reinterpret and thus change the feeling. When you live with the awareness that you decide the meaning of every event, you become less shaken by external shifts. You understand that peace doesn't come from a world that always cooperates. It comes from always having the choice of perspective. Mastering this choice is a major step toward becoming steady, free, and unshakable in any circumstance. 8. Detaching emotionally to love and live without dependency. Emotional detachment does not mean closing your heart or living coldly and without feeling. On the contrary, it is the ability to love, care, and enjoy life fully while keeping your inner independence, refusing to tie your happiness or peace to someone else's behavior, reactions, or presence. It is the state where you can give genuine affection and open yourself to the world, yet not lose yourself when circumstances shift. Without emotional detachment, we easily fall into dependency, where our emotions rise and fall according to how others treat us. A compliment lifts us, a criticism drops us. When a relationship or work outcome doesn't go our way, we feel loss. This behavior often shows in certain moments of control over our own life. Emotional detachment is the way out, allowing you to remain balanced in any situation. The Stoics saw this as one of the highest forms of inner freedom. Epictetus stressed that freedom does not come from satisfying every desire, but from freeing ourselves from the grip of what lies beyond our control. When you detach emotionally, you are no longer trapped in the cycle of expectation and disappointment, for you know that love, approval, and external results may change, but your inner stability and worth remain, if you choose to guard them. Emotional detachment also allows you to love and give more healthily. You still care and stand beside others, but you love without clinging or controlling. You let relationships grow naturally, free from fear of loss or the urge to possess. This not only shields you from emotional shocks, but also allows love to become purer, freer, and more mature. Cultivating detachment requires constant observation and self-awareness. Whenever your emotions swing too quickly or too strongly due to external triggers, ask yourself, am I responding to this situation or am I depending on it? This question draws your attention inward, reminding you that your emotions are yours and you have the right to nurture or adjust them. When you reach this state, you will find that you can love deeply, live passionately, and savor every moment without losing yourself. You will no longer be bound to outcomes or external validation, and thus you will be freer, more peaceful, and more enduring in both love and life. This is one of the most solid foundations for building an unshakable inner life and a fulfilled existence. 9. Train non-reaction as a habit. The ability to remain non-reactive in the face of provocation or pressure is not an inborn trait. It is a skill that must be intentionally cultivated. Most people react instinctively when their emotions are triggered, because the mind is conditioned to respond immediately to defend the ego or satisfy the urge to assert itself. Yet, these impulsive reactions are often the very reason we make mistakes, lose our composure, and create unwanted consequences. To change this, you must make not reacting immediately a natural habit, an integral part of your identity. Training yourself not to react does not mean suppressing your emotions or pretending you are unaffected. It is the practice of creating a short but vital pause between stimulus and response. That pause allows you to observe the situation, identify the emotions arising, and choose the most appropriate response rather than acting on a momentary impulse. Every time you create this pause, you are training your mind to prioritize reason over instinct. Stoic philosophy consistently emphasizes mastering your own reactions. Marcus Aurelius wrote that our strength lies in keeping the mind unmoved by what happens around us. This does not mean becoming numb, but staying aware that emotions are merely signals, while actions are always a choice. When you refuse to be swept away by the surge of immediate emotion, you can choose the path that serves your long-term good rather than your momentary gratification. Begin this practice with small, everyday situations. When something irritates you, try taking a deep breath, silently counting a few beats, or simply staying quiet before speaking. These seemingly minor acts can reset the brain's default response pattern. Over time, you will notice yourself becoming naturally calmer in situations that once would have provoked a sharp reaction. Once ingrained, this habit transforms how you face pressure, conflict, and even direct attacks. You no longer get pulled into pointless arguments. You become less susceptible to others' emotional influence, and you gain the ability to make sound decisions even under stress. At that point, non-reaction is no longer just a self-control technique, it becomes part of who you are, anchoring your steadiness and self-mastery in any circumstance. This is the foundation for true emotional freedom and lasting peace, no matter the situation. 10. Build a strong inner world. A strong inner world is the foundation that keeps you steady amid the turbulence and pressures of the external world. When your mind is nourished and fortified daily, you are no longer easily swept up by sudden emotional waves or unexpected events. But if your inner world is empty, chaotic, or lacking direction, even the smallest outside force can disturb your peace. Building your inner world, therefore, is not optional. It is essential to maintaining emotional stability and clarity. The process begins with cultivating self-awareness. Spend regular time observing what is happening in your mind, which thoughts keep repeating, which emotions arise most often, and which beliefs guide your actions. This awareness is like tending an inner garden, removing weeds of negativity and outdated biases, and planting seeds of positive values. When you clearly know what resides in your mind, you can shape the direction of your inner growth with purpose. The Stoics saw the mind as the most important fortress a person can build. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that happiness depends on the quality of our thoughts, and that we have full authority over what we allow to dwell in our minds. This means carefully choosing what you let influence you, from ideas and opinions to the way you interpret events. A strong inner world is not one that never feels disturbance, but one solid enough not to collapse when trouble comes. Along with managing your thoughts, you must cultivate inner stillness. Time spent in meditation, deep breathing, or journaling helps restore order, release tension, and renew mental energy. This is not an escape from life, but a way to create space for processing and responding wisely. When your inner ground is firm, you no longer feel swept away by sudden changes. Building your inner world is a lifelong process of patience and discipline. Every day you strengthen it with small choices. Choosing silence over meaningless arguments, focusing on what you can control instead of complaining, learning from challenges rather than resenting them. Over time, these choices lay a foundation from which you can live with confidence, tranquility, and true freedom. When your inner world is strong, the storms outside become only passing winds, and you keep walking steadily on your path. 11. Recognize and release others' projections. Projection happens when someone unloads their own thoughts, emotions, or insecurities onto you, turning you into a mirror of what they carry inside. It often occurs unconsciously when they assign to you intentions, feelings, or traits that actually belong to themselves. If you don't recognize it, you may be drawn into defending yourself, doubting yourself, or trying to prove your worth. But once you understand this mechanism, you see that such judgments usually reveal far more about them than about you. Letting go of projections begins with distinguishing between constructive feedback and reactions rooted in someone else's personal psychology. When a comment carries heavy negative emotion unrelated to your actual actions, it is likely a projection. In such cases, rather than absorbing it and letting it define you, observe it and let it pass. You do not need to react to prove yourself, because the truth of who you are does not reside in others' perceptions. Stoic philosophy teaches that we can control only our own actions and thoughts, not others' perspectives or feelings. Epictetus advised that if someone misunderstands you, don't be quick to trouble yourself, for it is their issue, not yours. Keeping distance from projections protects your inner peace and prevents your self-image from being warped by someone else's lens. When you recognize and release projections, you stop wasting energy responding to what was never truly yours to carry. Instead, you focus on living in alignment with your values, maintaining clarity in thought and action. This not only strengthens you against social pressure, but also frees you from the constant burden of proving your worth in others' eyes. That is a profound form of freedom. The freedom from the stories others try to impose on you. 12. Protect your peace as you protect your health. Inner peace does not happen by chance, and once lost, it is often far harder to restore than we expect. Like physical health, mental peace must be nurtured, guarded, and maintained daily. You would not allow harmful habits to destroy your body, so do not allow negative outside forces to invade and erode your mind. This requires mindfulness in choosing your environment, relationships, the information you consume, and the way you respond to the world. Protecting your peace starts with identifying what is disturbing it. This could be draining conversations, constant anxiety-inducing news, or relationships that leave you depleted. Once you recognize them, set clear boundaries to prevent these factors from occupying your mental space. Boundaries are not avoidance, they are conscious acts to protect the mental environment needed for your recovery and growth. Stoic philosophy regards peace as one of life's most precious assets, and like health, it lasts only if you actively safeguard it. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that a calm mind comes from living in harmony with reason and refusing to be pulled into what lies beyond our control. When you see peace as essential to life, you will prioritize the habits and choices that strengthen it over those that trade it for fleeting emotion. Protecting peace also means learning to say no to what does not serve your stability. It's the ability to step away from meaningless arguments, to decline involvement in needless conflict, and to keep your mind clear of toxic thinking. When you stay true to this principle, peace becomes a kind of mental immune system, shielding you from external stress and upheaval. When you protect your peace as you do your health, you not only live longer, but live more deeply. Each day becomes lighter, and you move through life with a steady heart, a clear mind, and an inner world not easily shaken. This is the ground where true happiness and freedom can take root and endure. Reason over instinct. Stoic philosophy consistently emphasizes mastering your own reactions. Marcus Aurelius wrote that our strength lies in keeping the mind unmoved by what happens around us. This does not mean becoming numb, but staying aware that emotions are merely signals, while actions are always a choice. When you refuse to be swept away by the surge of immediate emotion, you can choose the path that serves your long-term good rather than your momentary gratification. Begin this practice with small, everyday situations. When something irritates you, try taking a deep breath, silently counting a few beats, or simply staying quiet before speaking. These seemingly minor acts can reset the brain's default response pattern. Over time, you will notice yourself becoming naturally calmer in situations that once would have provoked a sharp reaction. Once ingrained, this habit transforms how you face pressure, conflict, and even direct attacks. You no longer get pulled into pointless arguments. You become less susceptible to others' emotional influence, and you gain the ability to make sound decisions even under stress. At that point, non-reaction is no longer just a self-control technique. It becomes part of who you are, anchoring your steadiness and self-mastery in any circumstance. This is the foundation for true emotional freedom and lasting peace, no matter the situation. 10. Build a strong inner world. A strong inner world is the foundation that keeps you steady amid the turbulence and pressures of the external world. When your mind is nourished and fortified daily, you are no longer easily swept up by sudden emotional waves or unexpected events. But if your inner world is empty, chaotic, or lacking direction, even the smallest outside force can disturb your peace. Building your inner world, therefore, is not optional. It is essential to maintaining emotional stability and clarity. The process begins with cultivating self-awareness. Spend regular time observing what is happening in your mind, which thoughts keep repeating, which emotions are it most often, and which beliefs guide your actions. This awareness is like tending an inner garden, removing weeds of negativity and outdated biases, and planting seeds of positive value. In my view, the principles just shared are not abstract theories, but practical tools you can apply immediately to change the way you live and see the world. Stoicism does not seek to paint life in brighter colors or erase hardship. It helps us face it with calm, clarity, and self-command. When understood and practiced, you will realize that the greatest power lies in mastering your thoughts and responses, not in controlling every circumstance. This frees you from the pressure of comparison, from chasing the standards of others, and gives you the strength to live in alignment with your core values. Each day becomes an opportunity for training, each challenge a step forward in the journey of growth. Above all, it reminds us that time, energy, and peace are priceless assets to be cherished and guarded with full awareness. If you find these values helpful, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next content. Finally, remember that life waits for no one, and each